Srishti, can you move that clock where I can see it? That's good. Okay. Bolo Ladli Lal ki, Shrimat Sadguru Sarkar ki. Dhyanamoolam Gurormurti Pujamoolam Guror Padam Mantramoolam Guror Vyakhya Bhakti Moolam Guror Kripa. Aho Vakiyam Stankalkutam Jighansayapayayadapyasadhvi Lebhe gatim Dhatriuchitam tatonyam Kam vadayalum Sharanam vrajema Yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam Yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai Tagvang devamatma buddhi prakasham Mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Dear devotees, this evening we'll be singing one of the Pad Kirtan from Premras Madhira from Siddhant Madhuri. So let us sing the first line, and after that we'll look at some of the philosophy behind it. Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man
Shyam Charan Sharanaai Gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaai Gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaai Gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man.
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 Shyam Charan Sharnaai Gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man.
This pad is about surrender and the things that prevent us from becoming surrendered. The need for surrender is simple. It's part of a devotional link, logically explained in our scriptures and by Jagadguru Shree Kripalu Maharaj. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Gita. Shri Krishna tells Arjun, surrender wholeheartedly. Once you surrender, you'll receive my divine grace. And with my divine grace, you'll attain the eternal divine status of being perfectly blissful and completely knowledgeable for all eternity. We surrender, that allows us to receive the grace of Shri Krishna. And the whole reason that we have to do bhakti, sadhana bhakti, is to become surrendered. None of us is currently completely surrendered. I, who am here lecturing you about surrender, am not completely surrendered, but we can think about the topic together based on what we've learned from Sri Maharaj. Practicing sadhana makes our mind get more and more attached to God and Guru, which itself automatically results in the mind becoming more surrendered. Gaho re man. This goes without saying that surrender is surrender of the mind. Surrender of the body or any other possession that we have, these are helpful. These are means to an end, but the end is the surrender of the mind. So if we use our possessions or we use our physical body in devotion or in service, that can help us improve our mental surrender. The mental surrender is not just primary, it's the only thing. There's nothing else. Surrender of the mind is the goal of practicing devotion. As we practice devotion, we become aware that there are some things that impede our surrender. All of us have something that's holding us back. Sometimes this idea of surrender feels abstract, but if we look at the practical application of surrender in our life, we'll see that it's not an abstract concept at all. And in fact, there are many examples of surrender in the material world that have nothing to do with devotion. So let us understand a little bit about what does surrender practically mean. Take a worldly case, like your car breaks down and you yourself have no training in fixing engines or any type of apparatus like that. So what do? You take your car to a trained mechanic, a professional. You're thinking in your mind, I hope this guy doesn't take advantage of me. Because I'm completely ignorant, whatever he says, I'm going to have to go along with it. How would I argue with him? I could get a second opinion. That's about the only option I have. But again, how much time do I have in the day to go running around to this mechanic and that mechanic? So whatever this mechanic is going to tell me, I'm in his hands. Oh, I'm feeling a little weak these days. Let me go to the doctor and find out what's wrong with me. Again, I have no medical experience, so I'm putting myself in the doctor's hands. Whatever the doctor says, I'm just going to have to go along with it. This is a type of surrender that we employ almost every day in the material world when we take the word of those who know more than us. We depend on them, and then we align our actions with what they tell us to do. So this is a practical example of surrender. In the devotional field, many times we have guidance from a divine guru who is telling us this is how you should lead your life. These are the things you should avoid. These are the things that will help you in your devotion. So sometimes surrender is actually about using our intellect to apply those instructions. In other words, we're not using our intellect to come up with our own solution to the problem, but we're using our intellect to analyze our life and see, are my decisions, are the priorities I have in my life that I use for making decisions, are those in alignment with what Guruji has told me is the most important? So we can analyze using our intellect to discern whether our decisions are being made in alignment with the guidance that we've received. This would be a good use of the intellect. The wrong use of the intellect in terms of surrender is when we start analyzing Guru's instructions. In other words, evaluating Guru's instructions. Just like we're not qualified to evaluate the diagnosis of the doctor or the report of the mechanic, we just go along with it because we know we're out of our depth. We have no right to make any kind of judgment in that area, so we don't even try. Similarly, when it comes to devotional matters, when we've received the guidance of a divine guru, then to bring our intellect and start evaluating Guruji has said this, so out of this, which of these things should I follow and which of these things should I discard? This is an improper use of the intellect in the devotional field. So we see there are some practical ways that we can understand surrender. When we're aligning our intellectual activities with the guidance of the Guru, that is surrender. When we have the feeling, he knows best, whatever he's told me, I should act accordingly. This is an example of surrender. And wherever our intellect objects, this is an example of a place where we have a hang-up, where we're unable to surrender or we're being held back due to the attachments of our mind in one place or another. Surrender also means love. Surrender also means hope. Surrender also means attachment. Where we believe or hope that we will get happiness, we love that person or that thing. We become attached to them because we think repeatedly about them. They enter our heart and they always stay there with a positive, warm feeling that I'm going to get the love or the happiness that I want from this person. My needs and my desires are going to be fulfilled through this person. So that holding of that person in the heart with a warm affection, that's also surrender. We call it love, but it's surrender because now our mind has become one with that person. The unity of the mind with another person is also surrender. We are surrendered at various places in this world. On the devotional path, we want to become surrendered to God and Guru because the result of surrender is that you attain what you're surrendered to. You attain what you are attached to. So here in this Pad Kirtan, as in many of the Siddhant Madhuri Pads, we are addressing our mind. Oh, my mind, go and surrender to the lotus feet of Shyam Sundar. Where else would you go? Only he is yours. And the mind says, but what about my mother, father, children, siblings, friends? No, mind. अंत समय को काम न आई हैं मात पिता सुत भाई. These worldly relations that you rely on, and you may physically need to rely on, they have no means of helping you in the big picture. The big picture means we have existed since eternity. Infinite times we've taken a material body. We've entered the womb of our material mother and received a body. We were born physically into this world and we lived a life for a certain number of days and then we left that body, we died. And then again we were reborn according to our karma. So in this big picture of life after life after life and all the karma we do and then getting the results in our next life and doing more karma and going on and on. Not our mother, not our father, not our friends, not our children, no matter how great they are, how strong or intelligent they are, or how affectionate they are towards us, not a single one of them can help us at the time of death. The time of death means that when this life is over and you're going according to your karma and according to your attachments. Then Nobody can help you. No one can come to your aid. Whatever you did, that's going with you. Whatever you're attached to, that's what you're going to attain. Then it's just between you and Krishna. So this hope we hold that this person will make me happy. This person will support me. I can depend on them. That's temporary for small things in this world. Maybe you can depend on someone here and there. That too, there's no guarantee. Depends on their mood, depends on their lifespan. We don't know how long they're going to stay with us. But in the end, nobody is going to go with us. Shree Maharaj says we're all like waves on the ocean. The ocean is God. The ocean is Krishna. Each wave is pervaded by the ocean. We are pervaded by Shri Krishna. There's no separation between him and us. The individual waves, of which there are uncountable on the ocean, those individual waves have no permanent relation with each other, but they're all permanently related to the ocean. Two waves may come together on the ocean for some time, for a moment, just in passing, and then they go their separate ways. One wave rises up out of the ocean, in other words, we're born into this world, and sometime later disappears back into the ocean. In other words, we die, we leave this body. So there are always waves appearing and disappearing, and for as long as they remain, they may cross paths with another wave, but no two waves stay together forever. In fact, all the relations between the waves are momentary. Similarly, our relations in this world, in the overall picture, in terms of our infinite existence, they're passing very quickly. So these relations that we feel are so important to us right now. And although according to the situation we're born in and we're living in, we have to respect those relations. To cause pain to anyone is a bad karma, and it doesn't help our devotion either. So just saying, oh, who are you to me? You're not my mother. Radharani is my mother. No, Maharaji never said to say any such thing or think any such thing. Yes, Radharani is our eternal divine mother, and our physical mother, of course, doesn't have the same status as our divine mother, but nonetheless, she's our physical mother. We owe her a debt, we owe her respect, and we want to foster harmony in the family. Same goes for our father. So these relations have to be, in Hindi we say, unko nibhana hai. We have to behave properly according to the situation. And Maharaji also says that pyar si bhavana rakho, have a kind regard for everybody in your circle of relations. And kam bolo, meetha bolo, speak sweetly whenever you interact with people. So being understanding that only God is mine forever. Only God is my eternal relation. All these physical relations are temporary. They have no spiritual value. Okay, understanding all of that, फिर भी किसी का अपमान नहीं करना है, किसी को दुख नहीं देना है. Even though we understand that, we still have to behave in a kind way with all the people in our life. Nonetheless, while maintaining that kind behavior and that kind regard for everyone in our family, we still only want to be attached to Radha Krishna, because attachment is the crux. The scriptures say to honor and respect our family, to have a kind regard and a harmonious interaction, but not to be attached, to only be attached to Radha Krishna, because they are perfect happiness. Why would we expect perfect happiness or true love from any person in this world? It's a wrong expectation. It's an ignorant hope. No one has ever received true happiness or perfect love from any other person in this world. Wherever we have that hope, we think repeatedly about that person, and then we get attached to them. And now we expect them to give us that thing, and when we don't get what we're looking for, then it's difficult to maintain the harmony in our relationships. So by removing this unfair expectation, we're not only preventing ourselves from getting attached to a Mayic person, which results in Mayic rebirth. We're not only preventing that, but we're also reducing the amount of disharmony and the amount of disappointment and anger we feel towards others. Because we have the wrong expectation, unfair expectation from them, then we end up getting angry at them when they don't fulfill those expectations. So this idea that, oh, you're not attached to me, but you're my wife. Well, you're being spared if your wife is not attached to you. You're being spared if your husband is not attached to you, because attachment means unfair expectation. The only time expectation is fair is when we're expecting perfect happiness from God. All the other expectations are unfair. We're all beggars. Is it fair to expect a beggar to give you $1 million? Then how can we expect anyone in this world to give us perfect happiness when they themselves don't have it? They're expecting it from us, we're expecting it from them. And then we think we're going to live a harmonious family life with this kind of underlying, right? When the original assumption is wrong, then what's going to happen to everything that's built on top of it? The foundation itself is quicksand. So the philosophy has to be understood and applied correctly. And when we start applying this, we start seeing that where am I actually surrendered, and where is my surrender a little hung up. So we'll get to see a few more details about these practical aspects of surrender as we sing through this pad, but let us sing the line that we were just discussing. Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man. Shyam Charan Sut bhai gaho re man.
Matu pita sut bhai gaho re man.
Mat pita sut bhai gaho re man.
Mat pita sut bhai gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re man.
When we seek anand, perfect happiness, in the world, as I mentioned, it's a wrong assumption that that exists in any worldly person or worldly thing. Once we make that assumption, we start repeatedly thinking about this person or thing as a source of happiness. That repeated chintan causes the mind to create an attachment to that person or thing. Due to that attachment, automatically the desire to attain that thing or be with that person repeatedly arises in the mind. That's called kam. What does that lead to? Krodh. Kam, krodh, aru lobh. The cycle of material desires. You desire. Then what? Strive to attain the thing you desire. If you get it, then lobh, greed. That means if the person you wanted their affection. They behaved affectionately with you. So, is that it? End of that desire? No, now that desire multiplied. This person should be more affectionate with me. Why are they looking at that person? They should only love me. So we get greedy for more. Or maybe your desire was for an inanimate thing, like money. You set a goal, you achieved your goal, you got that much money in the bank, or your annual income reached a certain level. So you reached your goal. Is that desire for money finished now? It's complete. Paripurna ho gaye aap. No. The desire just multiplies. Why does it multiply? We'll talk about in the next line. But the point is, fulfilling a material desire doesn't lead to fulfillment of your heart. It only leads to increased desire. Or if the desire remains unfulfilled, then comes krodh, anger. You didn't love me the way I wanted you to. You never listened to what I want. Or we didn't get the thing we wanted, so we feel frustrated. Then what happens after that? We again redouble our efforts, so calm comes back again. Or we change the field. We give up on that person, we give up on that thing, but the desire hasn't gone. We've just shifted it to another person or thing. This is the cycle of material desires. It never ends. So this Kam, Krodh, Arulobh, Moh means due to the effect of our attachments, we're unable to see clearly. We're deluded in the cloud of attachments. We think we're doing the right thing. Oh, everybody's running after these things. I'll also run. It makes perfect sense. No, it doesn't make any sense at all, but under the effect of moha, we're unable to discriminate between what is the real divine goal and what are these material allurements and delusions. Inaso kachu nabasai. You're not going to get anything to satisfy you in this field of kam, krodh, lobh, material attachments. This world that you're mired in, meaning the inner world. External world, we're all living in this external world, but we're mired in this internal world of desire, attachment, anger, greed, moha. Engaging in this doesn't ever give fulfillment or happiness. It only gives stress and disappointment and sadness and even depression. So don't look for happiness in this field. It's the wrong field. When we do look for happiness, even when we're disappointed, we still never give up the hope. So there's a reason for that that's explained in the next line we'll get to in a minute. Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re mana.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re mana.
Kam, Krodh, Arulobh, Moh, Mad.
Kam, Krodh, Arulobh, Moh, Mad.
Inaso kachu na basai gaho re mana.
Inaso kachu na basai gaho re mana.
Charan Sharnaee Gaho re mana.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re mana.
Shri Krishna is Satchit Anand. He is personified bliss. He himself is the very form of happiness. Maya is his Shakti. Maya is a Jada Shakti. It's a lifeless energy, inert. There's no Satchit Anand in Maya except for the fact that Shri Krishna himself pervades Maya. But the Mayic energy is not only lifeless, it's blissless. There's no happiness or unhappiness in any Mayic thing. Tasmad dukkhatmakam nasti naiva kinchit sukhatmakam. Vishnu Puran. There is not even a tiny fraction of dukh or sukh anywhere in this world. No unhappiness and no happiness. Based on our thinking, because it's our nature to desire happiness, because we are anshav, the very form of happiness, Shri Krishna, and it is the nature of every ansh to desire their anshi, therefore we eternally desire perfect happiness. So we're always seeking that happiness, but because our mind doesn't know about Krishna on its own, the mind is mayic, so it tends, if left to its own devices, it tends towards the mayic world. We perceive the mayic world around us, and we say, this inner longing I feel for happiness, I'll probably be able to fulfill it from this mayic world. And we do chintan of all the things or people that we identify as a potential source of happiness, and we get attached to them, we start desiring them, and we get caught in that cycle of desires. But we never get even one iota of happiness from them. The happiness we experience from them is based on the intensity of our desire for them, which is based on the gravity of our attachment. How big is our attachment to them? That much intensity of desire you have for them, and that much experience of happiness you get when you meet them. The one who had no desire because they have no attachment to that person, the same person walked right by them and they felt nothing. Why did you have such a big reaction? Because you're attached to them. No person is a source of happiness. Your thinking about that person is the source of your experience of happiness. And no person is a source of unhappiness. Your negative thinking about that person results in your experiencing discomfort or dislike for them because you did chintan in the opposite way. So you're still attached to them, but with a negative attachment. Or when you lose the person or the thing that you're attached to, then you feel that unhappiness in the same amount as you had attachment for them. The whole thing is self-created. The outer world is a fact. The person is a fact. The thing is a fact. But your attachment to them is your own creation. Therefore, the happiness or unhappiness you feel from them is also your own creation. Imagine, we think that person is making me happy. Nope. You're making yourself happy with your own thinking. You might as well just stay in your room and imagine things. That's all we're doing anyway. It has nothing to do with the other person. So this is called Mrig Marichika. Yah jag mrig trishna sam dikhat sukh lavalesh napai. There's not even lavalesh, not even a trace of true happiness in this world. But just like the deer who's lost in the desert sees a mirage and thinks there's water over there, we see attractive things in this world and we think there's happiness in them, but they're just attractive because our mind is mayic, they're mayic, okay, it's a nice thing. There's nothing that's going to quench your thirst. The sand is shimmering over there, must be water. The deer runs over there. Oh, no water. Oh, it's further ahead. Okay, run over there. No, just dry sand. Why did I think there was water here? Oh, the water's further ahead. The deer keeps doing this until dies of thirst. Lying in the sand, the deer still doesn't get it. The deer still is looking. If I could have just made it over there, I would have got water. We spend our whole life like this, running from disappointment to disappointment. Oh, I thought there was going to be happiness in here. Oh, I think it's just ahead. Let me get the next thing. We live with that feeling that happiness is just around the corner. Kal nahi mila, aaj milne wala hai. What is the basis for this hope? There is no logical basis for it because we've never gotten it in the past, and yet every day we're full of hope that we'll get it today. We're just like that deer chasing the mirage in the desert. The promise of happiness is everywhere in this world, but the actual attainment of happiness is nowhere. It's a dry desert when it comes to happiness, but full of mirages. The world is full of hope, not full of happiness. Think about it. You live in the hope of happiness. You don't live in happiness. Unless you're getting devotional happiness, that's real happiness. But the worldly happiness, no, you never live in happiness of worldly happiness. You live in the hope, I'll get it, but it never comes. So this experience is common to everybody, but only with the guidance of a true saint do we actually come to realize this. Oh yes, this is what's happening in my life. This is why I have these disappointments and frustrations. But desiring happiness is not wrong. I just have to change the field of my expectation. I should expect it from God and Guru. Although the highest happiness comes from serving them, where we feel, I want to make them happy. But that's the next level. For now, to start, we need to understand, I want happiness. Happiness is not here, it's there. Okay, then the next level is, well, you want the best happiness? Then don't demand happiness from God and Guru in a selfish way. Love them, they're yours. They're your everything, so just serve them. Surrender yourself to them means give yourself to them without any demand. And they'll do what they do. You leave yourself in their hands. They'll give, they won't give. It's their nature to give, of course. They'll give their whole self to you. They'll surrender their self to you if you surrender to them. But we're not thinking of it in a trading way like that. The highest happiness comes from just giving oneself to them. You're looking for excitement in your life. The best excitement is how to please my Guru. You're looking for something fulfilling in your life. The best fulfillment is how to make my beloved happy. These are the only truly fulfilling things. This dhan, yavan, tan, our wealth, our youth, and our body. Chanabhangur sab, jo kapoor udi jai, just like kapoor. I always forget the English word for kapoor. Camphor. Like camphor, if you leave it out in the air, it just vanishes. It disappears. It's like, where did it go? It just dissipated into the air. Just like that, your wealth, your youth, and your physical body, all of these things will be gone before you know it. And yet, these are the things that we choose instead of surrender. Oh, Guruji has said to do this donation. Our heart clenches up. Oh. So at least we can be honest with ourselves, right? That this is showing me my lack of surrender. This is that when I'm put in that situation, I can see that, okay, here this is a hang-up for me. This is a challenge for me. So in order to become more surrendered, I need to overcome that. Or maybe I can just see. Next time when I'm put in that situation, if I've made progress in devotion, I'll see, oh, my heart clenched up a little less. Or eventually, I was happy when I got that instruction. So we can just observe those changes in ourselves and recognize the progress we're making. Our attachment to our wealth, our pride in our youth, our fear of what people think of our body, all these things take up space in our head when we could just be thinking of God and Guru. So Sri Maharaj says these are charnabhangur. These are very momentary. They're fleeting things. They could be gone in an instant. So don't worry about them. Don't allow your mind to stress over them. O mind, go and take shelter in the lotus feet of Shyam Sundar. Because Bahuri Kripalu na naratanu paiya, this human body is the only chance to surrender to God and Guru. It's the only chance to practice devotion. And there's no guarantee of getting it again in the next life. Bigari lehu banai. This is the only means of getting forgiveness and erasing all your past karma and finally achieving the ultimate goal of your life, to get the perfect love of Radha Krishna. That is only possible in this life, and you're letting it slip away because you're worried about your dhan, yauvan, tan. Why? You've given uncountable lifetimes to these material things. Why not give one life to God and Guru and see what happens? Sacrifice these things for God and Guru in this life and see what happens. So, oh my mind, go and take shelter in the lotus feet of Shyam Sundar. Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho re mana.
Shyam Charan Sharnaee Gaho
Yah jag mriga trishna samadikhat. Pai Gaho re mana.
Sukha lavalish na pai Gaho re mana.
Dhana कपूर उड़ी जाई गहो रे मन।
जो कपूर उड़ी जाई गहो रे मन।
बहुरी कृपालो ननर तनु पाई।
बहुरी कृपालु नर तनु पाई।
दिगरी लेहु बनाई गहो रे मन।
बिगरी लेहु बनाए गहो रे मन।
श्याम चरण शरणाई 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 गहो रे मन।
श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की। Now we'll be continuing with the special video of Sri Maharaj Ji.